And there's 135 hotels in New York City which house migrants. There are 680 hotels altogether. 135 of them are just for migrants. That's not going to change, is it?
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the migrant problem in New York City. Now, you just heard at the very beginning, 135 hotels in New York are just for migrants. If you want to book it, like, okay, you want to go to New York City, you want to have a good time, you want to go see Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty, all this, that, and the third, you want to see all that, you want to book a hotel, well, there's going to be a lot fewer of them than there were a few years ago because you got so many that are set aside for the migrants, not just kind of hole in the wall, rinky dink spots. You're talking about the Roosevelt Hotel, which was at one point an iconic place in Manhattan, New York City, but no longer. It has become a migrant intake facility. And as a matter of fact, they're calling it the new Ellis Island. But before we get into the clip, we got to talk about a lot, because not only is this hotel being referred to as a new Ellis Island, there's also people living in this place and bringing their cultural norms from their country of origin with them, and it's not really matching. Okay, there's all kind of damage, electrical, water, everything else. Now, first things first, let's check out this clip. This is a little bit of an older clip, but not really, probably from about a few weeks ago, maybe about 2 weeks ago. We're going to see how they transform this hotel. Then we're going to get into the nitty gritty about the migrants, where they're coming from, and how they organize this particular thing to overrun our country. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
It was just over a year ago when the Roosevelt Hotel, became New York City's intake center for newly arriving migrants.
Since then, thousands have passed through from more than 100 different countries. Our Morgan McKay got an inside look at their
100 different countries. So when you hear normies talking about this and they say, oh, these poor migrants from Mexico, all this and that, and they're trying to find a better place to live, is that what's going on? Or is it a more organized effort? And by the way, before they continue, I believe they said 70% of the migrants that have come to New York City are from Africa, somewhere on the continent.
Their operations.
It's been dubbed by the city as a new Ellis Island. The Roosevelt Hotel was turned into a migrant arrival center in May 2023 and became the one-stop shop where newly arriving migrants could get information 24/7 about what to do and where to go next. Since its arrival center opened its doors around a year ago, it has welcomed more than 150,000 migrants from 160 different countries.
Behind me here, there are warm meals that we serve around the clock, 24/7.
Now, let's pause right here. You're talking about warm meals, we serve 24/7. There's quite a bit of activity, quite a bit of personnel. How much is this whole operation costing? I think there was an estimate from the U.S. government, from a House committee, and they said from summertime 22 up until right around right now, the United States has spent $500 billion with a B, $500 billion on migrants. Now, let's compare and contrast to the average American who does not have $500, $500 in case of an emergency. But we can spend $500 billion from taxpayer money in 2 years on migrants. And a lot of these migrants come with money in their pocket to get smuggled over here. You're talking about between $5,000 to $10,000 US per trip. And a lot of them come over and over again. So you're talking about $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for one person to get over here in US dollars. But I'm getting triggered, so I digress.
Dr. Ted Long with Health and Hospitals has been spearheading this operation since its inception. He says once migrants arrive, they are quickly registered.
We ask for your name, the size of your family, and give you a wristband so that we know and have line of sight into everybody in the building now.
After that, migrants are led to a room that is set up as a healthcare clinic. Every migrant is screened for any disease they might have contracted along the way, offered medical assistance, screened for depression, and are able to get vaccinated. City officials say that so far they have administered more than 70,000 vaccines.
Enable us to enroll kids in school almost instantly upon when they arrive in New York City.
After this, migrants are connected to a case manager who will help them decide next steps. If they want to connect with family or friends in a different state, the city will help them get there. If they need a shelter bed, the city will then assign them to a shelter site and help them get started on filing their asylum papers. When they arrive.
Now, speaking about, because they're showing the kids, speaking about these kids, a number I heard some months ago, I'm not sure what it is now, maybe it's more or less, I don't know. They were talking about between 2 and 3 babies being born per week just at this one hotel at the Roosevelt in Manhattan. 2 to 3 babies being born per week, because the play is that the illegal alien mom would come over pregnant and have the baby shortly after she gains entry into the U.S., because now that's an anchor baby. They're not going to deport a baby that was born here because that's a legal citizen under birthright citizenship. And the parent's not going to get deported because who's going to raise the baby? You can't deport the baby, so why would you deport the parents? That's called an anchor baby.
Arrival center first opened, some migrants were waiting for days. Now,
So we'll place you quickly, typically in a matter of hours, to the site where you're going to sleep that night.
one reason why room is opening up faster now is because the city has started to set limits on how long migrants can stay at shelter sites.
Now, there's more to this, but I'll leave that in the box. Let's keep on going here. This is going to be a whistleblower talking about the conditions at the Manhattan. What we saw right there was the outside, the lobby area where they intake, but they're not showing the rooms and what actually happens in these rooms. All right, let's check this out.
Okay, I'm going to move on from this because it's a very important day, and that was a very important moment, I think. Staying on the issue of voters, the border, and migrants, there are about 680 hotels in New York City. 135 of them are reportedly operating as migrant shelters. One of those hotels is the Row Hotel, where Carlos Arellano used to work. Carlos joins me now. You tell me, how do hotels make money from these migrants? Tell me.
That's a very good question. Where's the money come from? Because obviously, as we saw in the first clip, there's money being spent. Where's it coming from? Quick guess, you, the taxpayer?
They charge the city, the taxpayer, they charge them double. You know, people think you're just paying for the room, but you're paying for the staff members. You walk into one of these hotels and depending on how far you get, you can see a table of 10 staff members, but out of those 10 staff members, only 2 of them are really working. And the other 8 that are there, they're just hanging around, not doing the thing. And when I used to work there, I used to say, why do I need 10 people when I have 2 people only working? I need to get rid of some of these people. And the excuse was always the contract requires this many people. And it requires that many people, 10 of them, because they want to charge the city more from the taxpayer funds. So
it's just straight up robbery, bareface, no pistol. Robbery, bareface, no pistol. Just taking money for people to do nothing other than sit there on the hind parts.
They upcharge anything they can. You know, if they say, oh, we're going to offer them homeschool teachers for the migrants who don't want to go send their kids to public school, the hotel's going to charge it to the city twice as much. So they find any little excuse to charge more money inside.
What's the condition of these hotels now from the inside? How are they being, I hate to say trashed, but are they in good condition or not?
Great question again.
Oh, no, they're ruined. They're never going to be what they once were. And that's why they keep renewing the contracts, because they don't want anyone to go in there and see what damage they've done to this place long term. Every other week there was power outages at the Row on the floor 23. So I used to go to work and they would say, you have 5 floors without electricity, go figure it out. And we would be without electricity because it would be 5 floors of illegal migrants wanting to plug in air fryers into their rooms. So can you just do the math, 5 floors worth of people. There's 5,000 people in this hotel spread across 28 floors. You have 5 floors trying to plug in air fryers. It's going to short circuit the electrical wires.
Absolutely. And then not just electrical problems, but also you're going to have water damage. Right when this whole thing first started, they were talking about migrants to not know how to use the shower curtains properly. So the water from the showers would just be on the floor. And obviously when the water's on the ground, you're going to cause damage to the floor and then damage to the ceiling below the floor in the next room or wherever it leads to. So you're going to have water damage, electrical problems, and then just the general uncleanliness of some people. You don't know where they come from, what they got going on. I mean, they're screening people, but at a certain point, you don't really know how they live their lives until they get in the room and you observe them. So this hotel is pretty much is toast. And a lot of the hotels around New York City are going to face the same fate.
And there's 135 hotels in New York City which house migrants. There are 680 hotels altogether. 135 of them are just for migrants. That's not going to change, is it?
Oh, no, because the last thing I've been hearing when I've been out talking to migrants at the border is they tell each other, they coordinate, they tell each other, make sure your hearing, your asylum hearing is in New York, because in New York, there's judges who lean a certain way that will give you more time. If you put your court hearing in Texas, you're going to screw yourself over. So they tell each other, leave your court hearing in New York, claim your free hotel once you get there, and then come back to Texas. Because if you do it in Texas, it's not going to go well for you. So they coordinate with each other, telling each other, go to New York, go to Chicago, go to Denver. So this is not going to stop anytime soon.
Carlos.
And he's telling you right there what they do. They go to New York, go to Chicago, go to Denver, these soft places where they allow this kind of behavior. Texas does not really allow it. I'm going to show you an article right quick before I wrap it on up, put the bow on top. This is from Zero Hedge, and you see where it says Texas sees 74% drop in illegal border crossings since Operation Lone Star, governor office says. So Texas, they're doing whatever they can to buck against the federales and protect the border, because really the border is a federal responsibility. But if they're not upholding the responsibility to protect the border, to close the border, Texas is going to do whatever they can to prevent this this chaos from continuing to spiral. All right, which is why my man said, yo, if you try to do your hearing in Texas, it's not going to go well because they're not playing that. But migrants are going to other softer places to coordinate. Now, as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to the legal immigrants. OK, if you're here legally, shout out to you. I have no problems. There's nothing wrong with you following the law. But the illegal aliens, the asylum seekers, people that want to try to finesse the system, I'm done. I'm through. This has got to stop. Hopefully we get Trump back in office. Hopefully we get people that are going to be responsible in the federal government. So this kind of thing comes to an end because we can't afford it. We already got crazy inflation because all the money printing and spending. This is just going to continue if we allow our borders to be totally inundated with every old Tom, Dick, and Harry from around the world. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this whole border kerfuffle? Do you think that it's going to stop? It's not going to stop? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. It's got to come to an end. We can't afford it. There's quite a few things that should come to an end that we can't afford. I won't get into those right now, so I digress. The whole point is this right here has got to stop. New York City, I don't know what you guys are doing. How many hotels are you going to have to tear down in 2 years because you allow all the migrants to come in there and do whatever they want to do? I don't know. I can't call it. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.